So, thank you all for coming. Welcome to the Technology Committee meeting. And in accordance with our policy 903, I'd like to remind everyone of the following. Public comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise specified by the board. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and note their name and municipality. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer rather than to an individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. The speaker may speak once during each comment period. Please note, these sessions are designated for comments. To protect the confidentiality and privacy rights of all members of our community, the board encourages members of the public to direct any comments regarding particular individuals, such as students or district employees, privately to the superintendent or other appropriate administrators, or to board members, or to communicate with the board and the superintendent privately by sending an email to psdschoolboard@penridge.org. Questions raised and not addressed may be followed up at a later time. So I do have a sign-in sheet. There are nobody signed in for the Technology Committee meeting. Is there anybody that would like to make a public comment before we start? Okay, seeing none, we'll get started. Tonight, we're going to do a little review of the middle school technology, where we are and where we're headed in the future. And with that, I will turn it over to Mrs. Miller.
Thank you very much. So what I'd like to present tonight is the middle school technology plan, recommendation, whatever you'd like to call it, for the 2019-2020 year. I'm going to start with a review of what's in the middle schools, and then I'm going to move forward to discuss what we're recommending for the 19-2020 school year, which is incredible when you say it like that, right? So 2 years ago, or last year, the 17-18 school year, we pumped into the 6th grade classrooms a computer that the board is actually using up here as well. It's in a Lenovo N23 is what it's called. So it's Chromebook-like, but it does have a Windows operating system on it. And what we did last year was we put a classroom set in each of the 6th grade homerooms. So between 30 and 32, depending on how many students were in each homeroom, we put into the 6th grade classrooms. They were kept in a charging station, so they did not move at all. So the student comes in, the student picks up his computer, the student uses it for the day. This year, the 18-19 school year, we moved those devices from the 6th grade up into the 7th grade. So those same students are using the computers they started with in 6th grade. And we bought another classroom set for the 6th graders, for the new 6th graders. Again, we keep them in the classroom, in the homeroom, so to speak, and they don't move around with them. Other technology that's in the middle schools are, we have some carts for the 8th graders. So now for the 8th graders, it was 7th and 8th grade last year. And we have carts. The configuration at each middle school is basically the same. There's a cart of Lenovo, there are X140Es. There's 30 of them, and then there's some of the older HPs yet, and there's at least 2 carts at each middle school for the older HPs. And I'll tell you, we're struggling to keep them going this year. They're really nearing the end of their life. Then there's a couple labs. So there's 2 labs in each of the middle schools as well, and those are desktops that we have, 30 of them in each lab. Then in the library, we have between 10 and 12 devices in each library. This year we were able to get rid of the VDIs. If you recall, they're a thin client. We were able to phase them out. They were in play, I think, for 5 years, and then we phased them out this year. We also have our STEM program. How can we forget the STEM program? So at each middle school, we have a cart of 35 for STEM 1. And they're a smaller device. They're an 11-inch screen. And then this year, we purchased a cart of 35 for each of the middle schools with a 15-inch screen. And the teachers were thrilled with that because they do a lot of the Corel Draw, a lot of the CAD work, and they needed a little bigger screen. So we were able to get a little bigger screen. So it's one part of that. And then they each have a lab too. The STEM class has a lab as well. And each teacher at this point has a Lenovo Yoga, and most of them are 370s. It's a 13-inch screen. And when I say Yoga, it just folds. So it's kind of a convertible. So you can use it as a laptop or you can use it as a tablet as well. So that's what we have currently in each of the middle schools. So we're always evaluating to see, what our next step is going to be. So we went back to the middle school teachers and the middle school principals asking for feedback. And the feedback generally is very positive on the devices. So the devices are meeting the needs of the students. Again, it's not a Chromebook, but it's Chromebook-like, but it does have Windows on it, which affords them the opportunity of Windows and Microsoft and Google at the same time. The devices have been successfully incorporated into the lessons. Some of the challenges now that we're hearing about, especially in year 2 here, is loss of some instructional time as the student has to pull the device out of the cart each time they come into a classroom. So the way the teachers manage these are, there's a cart of 30 bays, and the laptops are in the 30 bays, and every time I go into Dr. Yarnell's math class, I get number 1. If I go into Mrs. Walter's science class, I might get number 5. So each student is assigned a laptop within their classroom, but they don't carry it around from class to class. So what that causes is a little bit of lack of student accountability on the device. So since the student doesn't own it, quote unquote, I won't say they don't take care of it as nicely, but I'll say maybe they don't take care of it as nicely because it's kind of, it's in a cart, and I pull it out and I put it back, and if something happens to it, it'll get fixed. We have a little bit of problems sometimes at the middle school with the kids popping the keys off a little bit. It doesn't happen at the high school because the high schoolers keep that for 4 years, so they don't pop their own keys off, because if I'm missing, and I won't tell you which keys are usually missing, but if I'm missing one of my keys, it hurts me and nobody else. The other thing that we find as a challenge is there's very limited device access for the encores or for the specials. So when the students are going to an FCS class or a language class, they don't have a computer with them. So those classes are all kind of not fighting, but scheduling to get either into the labs or into the laptop carts. So there's some of the challenges that we're seeing. So we went to the principals, who went to the staff to ask for a recommendation for how should we proceed next, because logically we would now pump in another set of laptops into the 6th grade, move the 6th grade up to the 7th grade, 7th grade up to the 8th grade. And what we're hearing from the teachers, from the principals, is they really would like to go with a one-to-one program. So, and when we say a one-to-one program, so that each student is actually assigned a device. So each student would take a device from class to class, and they'd also be able to take one home now. The students would be assigned that same device all 3 years in the middle school, just like they're assigned the same device all 4 years at the high school. So, we have a very successful one-to-one program at the high school, so we're looking to, take a lot of the lessons that we've learned and kind of mirror it down to the middle schools. Might be a little bit different, but we're hoping, to really mirror what the processes that are working. So the current devices will again move up. So the 6th graders, we would always pump the new set of devices into the 6th grade. So we would order them for 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade would use the ones that have already been in circulation, so to speak. So we talk about benefits of a one-to-one program, and I got some of the feedback from the technology integrators. So technology, my department works very closely with curriculum to make sure that it's the correct device put into the classroom, and that the teachers know how to use it within the classroom. So our departments work very closely together. So I was speaking with the technology integrators, and some of the things that benefits of the one-to-one program are to help the students acquire the 21st century skills necessary for a successful future. It creates opportunities for personalized, student-centered learning. Lots of capabilities and opportunities for creativity, for critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. So there are some of the benefits that they feel that a one-to-one program brings to the table. So the advantages of a one-to-one versus the current structure where they just stay within the classroom would be probably first and foremost is that preservation of instruction time. So instead of the student having to every day go and every period go to the well, so to speak, and pull their computer and have to log in and wait for it to log in, and then we have to power it down and put it back every class period. they lose precious instruction time is what we're hearing. So the other thing that it would provide is equal access to technology across all the content areas. So if the student has the device with them, no matter where they are or what class they're in, they'll have their technology with them. So the teachers that don't have the benefit of, the structure now, the language teachers, the FCS teachers, the chorus teachers, they'll have that added benefit of the student always having their technology with them. This way, technology becomes part of the flow of teaching and learning. It's not a special event. It's not, oh, we're going to get the cart today, once every 3 days in the cycle, we're going to get a cart, and, I'm going to teach, I'm going to be able to teach with the technology. So that's another bonus of going with one-to-one versus the current structure. And then we have Canvas, the learning management system that has been implemented very successfully at the high school level that we're now implementing at the middle school level as well. To actually fully integrate Canvas into school and home, they need a device. So that's really the other large benefit of going from the one-to-one structure, or going to the one-to-one structure compared to what we're doing right now. Cost. Doesn't come free, obviously. For estimating purposes only here. So the Lenovo 300Es, which are the device that we have this year. Oh, I lost. I lost something under my graphic. It's $19. Okay, so under my graphic there.
I think we got it on here.
It is on here. It's printed and it. I don't know. So I apologize for that. It obviously is not.
For sake of numbers, it's $198,000. Yep.
So, I apologize for that. It's on my printout, but there it's not. It's $330 for the computer, plus that also includes a 2-year warranty. We want just with the 2-year warranty to start with. We're not quite sure how these are going to hold up. So we're, tweaking and evaluating as we go. I can say though. It's a 2-year warranty.
Okay.
It is a 2-year warranty, correct.
So for us,
Did you say the high school
so it
year?
is a correction to our handout that we have.
It's a 2-year warranty.
And is that what the high school has a 4-year warranty?
The high school has a 4-year warranty, correct.
And do you want me to ask questions now or wait? I was just curious, how much are we utilizing that warranty the last 2 years, and how does this laptop compare to the high school laptop that we're currently using?
So for the past year and a half, since we've been using these N23s and 300Es, I've had 27 that I've had to send back, which is phenomenal. So we're now into our 2nd year. So, but the first year we had very few that even had to go back for warranty work. So it's a good, tough little machine, absolutely. The cost for the 2-year warranty is $16 per machine.
But the 330 includes that.
The 330 includes that. So now that's this year's price. That may be increased, especially with the tariff situation, that we're not quite sure how that's going to impact, all of our electronic purchases. But I'm going with this year's numbers here. So it was $330. And for 600 units.
So you're saying the first year in the warranty, you only had 27?
Up until now, I've only had 27.
So that's 2 years.
A year and a half.
Yeah. Some devices are older than others, obviously.
So are the older ones a different model? Is that what you're saying?
They're the same model. Lenovo will change the model every year.
So the ones that our seniors have?
No, I'm talking just middle school here. This is 100% middle school. This is not senior. This is not high school. This is just middle school.
Right, what I'm trying to figure out is we have 4-year warranties on the high school laptop, which are also Lenovo's, right?
Correct.
And I was wondering, in years 3 and 4, since we'd be looking at a 2-year warranty here, are we utilizing that warranty more frequently? Because usually the older the computer is, the more issues you're going to have.
So, again, high school is a 4-year, so we get 4 years out of them, 9 through 12, and it's a whole different device. It's a more expensive device. So it's this laptop here has a much lower price point than the high school laptop. So we're talking kind of apples and oranges here. So it's a whole different device with a whole different price a whole different ADP.
Are you noticing on warranty issues that as the machines get older, you are sending a higher percentage out?
Yes.
So in year 1 versus year 2 versus year 3.
You got it.
So regardless of how sturdy the devices are, we would think that in the 3rd year of these, we might send out more than in the 1st year or the 2nd year.
Correct.
From that standpoint.
Correct.
And you're going to address the cost of the ADP on the next slide.
Yes, I will.
And what we can do in terms of those funds.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So the other thing that we'd like to recommend at the middle school level, so the middle school students do not carry book bags around. So we're recommending that we would purchase a protective sleeve for the students, and I actually have 2 such we're looking at, different options here. There's the man purse here, so we're not quite sure about this one. And then we have, this one just came in today, and this is a little sleeker, a little bit more professional, and they're both about $20, a model here. So I'll keep these so you guys can take a look at them. Nothing's been decided on these yet, but we do know that we need to offer some type of protection for them because, again, the students do not carry a book bag around at the middle school level. So we're trying to, protect the investment here. And that would be, so for the first year, we'd have to purchase them for all the middle school students, and then after that, it would only be one class. Like, we would not purchase a new one each year, or hopefully we would not have to purchase a new one each year, so it would be one and done for the 3 years, okay? So that price there, that $34,000, that's going to be for the entire middle school population. And that would be to protect it, in school and to protect it in semester as well.
Nora, that's 600 units on that first line in terms of the number of units. Is that fewer than what we're purchasing right now? Because right now you're doing it by homeroom.
Correct.
And so we get a minimum of 30, but homerooms might only have 25 students in them, which means in this model we would only have to order 25.
Correct.
How does that number compare to what we're ordering for a grade level right now in the current model? Is that number smaller?
It is smaller.
So there is some savings there because we have to order fewer machines.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we don't need the charging stations as well. So because we put a charging station into
Correct.
each homeroom, so we don't need to purchase the charging stations. And those charging stations that we purchase, we can trickle down into the elementary schools.
So they'll be able to charge them throughout the course of the day, right?
So,
Wherever they're
well,
relatively.
yes, so we can have some charging stations, but this little guy should keep the charge for the entire day. So, should. At least in the first 2 years. And again, it's a new model, so, we're watching it as it goes along. But the battery life has been phenomenal with these little guys.
Most of them
So, yeah, where they can get
lighter,
it through.
smaller, and it's ages.
Although one of the pieces of feedback at the high school level with those machines, and we are addressing the need in terms of students sitting near the plugs, and so to try to be
Yes.
able to increase the number of plugs. And some of that is them not coming in charge, but some of that is by the middle of the day,
Yes.
if they're using them hard,
Planning.
that they'll have that. So we are in the process of trying to update it at the high school level, so we'll have to see whether the middle school level will need to do the same thing or not, especially when we get to like year 3 of the machine where it may not be holding the same battery charge. So that's a piece of feedback at the high school level that we're addressing for next year, based around the ability to be able to plug in, because kids are sitting in the periphery and no one wants to sit in the middle because there's no plug there. Correct.
And we may be able to take the charging stations that are, at the middle school and strategically place them around at the high school too, so that they could charge up, maybe by the cafeteria, one in the library. Because in the original year, we bought charging stations that just kind of sit on a counter, so there's no wheels on them. This year, for 18-19, we actually bought carts again. So. And that was due to, there was some space constraints, especially in some of the middle schools, that there was no place to put, the charging station. So we have some that we move and some that we don't, but we would repurpose them.
On these sleeves, did that $20, is that a price that includes some kind of printed with something that says Penridge, or is that just a plain? Because
This one would come with Penridge.
on it.
This one here, quite honestly, I bought this one off of Amazon, so I haven't reached out to the manufacturer yet, but it would say we would want to put Penridge on it, yes. And we'd want them to be able to put their name someplace on here as well. I mean, we wouldn't stitch their name, but this one here does have, like something that they could put an ID in there.
Because there are companies, that, that do our spirit wear around
Mhm.
town. $20 to me would be high for that, especially in the number that you're gonna be buying. So that's just kind of a side note before you would, we can definitely get them for better.
Oh, I think we can too.
Yeah,
So
so-
that's kind of a high estimate.
Okay.
This one here was like $14,
Mm-hmm.
so, and that's purchasing one. So I haven't spoken to the manufacturer to see what we can do in bulk. I'm sure we can do better in bulk.
It will depend if you want them imprinted, obviously that's a different price, but I mean, I could get things when I work for one of those kinds of businesses, it's like $5 maybe for a backpack, like a tactical backpack thing, so the cost per unit, if you can get them wholesale, but if you want them imprinted, that's a different, but we
So-
can work on that.
So yeah, we will
Yeah.
work on that, absolutely. We just know that we need something for the
Mhm.
student,
Yeah.
that we want to provide some kind of protection for the student.
Would that,
And
would that
it's
land
gonna
protect
be-
I just was wondering if, at the end of the 3 years, are you going to collect the cases back then and try to cycle them back through, or what happens if
We
you
haven't
have to-
talked about that yet, but
Okay.
I'm really figuring after 3 years, it's
They're
gonna
gonna be
probably
right.
be
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
Cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're gonna kind of be shot, but again, we're gonna have to see how it holds up. I mean, we may get one year and say, oh, these did not hold up, and, change it the second year, so that'll remain to be seen.
And what about if kids want to, or the students want to provide their own case? 'Cause I
We would
haven't
really strongly recommend that they all use the same case. That way we can say what, the specifications are, we know if, it's going to, be sturdy enough. So I think we're going to highly recommend that, they use the same one that we give them. Now, whether they really will, I don't know how we'll enforce that, but it would be strongly
I'm
recommended.
wondering about the cost. You buy all these girls
Yeah,
go
they
out and
use
buy
them and- I know.
pretty pink ones at Justice or
Mhm.
something, match their outfits.
Right.
And then you have a whole bunch that are, well, I mean, I guess then you'll have plenty available for the following year, but.
Right, so again, I think we'll have to see, but I think the strong recommendation would be that, we would want them to use the one that we're providing.
Okay.
Then everybody's the same as well.
Okay.
Is that sleeve going to protect the computer if someone drops it?
This,
You drop it on the board, it's not gonna-
yeah, I mean,
Maybe. Depends where.
it depends on where you
Depends
drop it.
And on what?
And on
And
what?
on
Or
what?
how high?
Well,
It's padded.
if you're walking down the hallway and you drop your laptop when you're in between classes, is that just cloth or is
No,
that
there's,
going to protect it?
it's all foam inside,
Here's about it.
it's all padded inside. And again, these are just some samples here, so there's been no decision on these, I just kind of wanted to show you what we're sort of looking at. Yeah.
Is this to lease them or to purchase them?
This would be to purchase. So just because the price point is lower than, again, the high school.
And then you would be looking to, what would you be looking to do with them after 3 years?
So again, we'll see what shape they're in 3 years, if we can cycle them down, either into the elementary schools, or we'll have to see if we can sell them, or what we'll do with them at the end of that third year.
I guess what I'm wondering too, if your focus is for these to last at least 3 years, how does this compare to a 3-year warranty?
So the 3-year warranty was an additional $16, and we might go with that 3-year warranty. I mean, we might run those numbers and say, yes, we should go with the 3-year warranty. We started with the 2-year warranty, again, to see, where we were with it. So the 2-year warranty was $16, the 3-year warranty was $32.
Do they let you extend your warranty after, if you wait a year and a half?
You can extend the warranty, yes, you can extend the warranty. You can't extend an ADP. You have 90 days to extend an ADP, but a warranty you can.
Is there gonna be any communication between teachers about how much screen time the kids are getting and whether or not we're in compliance with the CDC recommendations for screen time?
So I'm gonna look to
So,
Dr. Scheid for
We've
that.
had a lot of discussion about balance, and we all agree that children, students, young adults should not have screen time all day long. What we want to do is use it as a tool when it benefits learning. So that's really the goal, and they're really the guidelines. You do not use the tool for the sake of having the tool, but you use the tool when it improves student learning. So in terms of establishing only 30% of the day. We don't have strict guidelines to that. What we do say, and teachers do agree, that it's a tool for improvement. It is not a replacement for instruction. It's an enhancement for instruction. So in other words, a prime example when you would be seeing students using laptops or any kind of devices is for particular instructional focus. So in other words, if we're teaching a concept and we have certain apps that we know help students who learn differently, you may be asked in a small group to work on that particular app for 3 times a week for 15 minutes. Something that will help you. Obviously, it's for open communication, because you can communicate anytime, anywhere, any place. And we would use it for those purposes too, because if you remember in the beginning of this presentation, it was really about enhancing 21st century learning. So the communication, the collaboration, the critical thinking skills. So when the instruction matches this tool for improvement, they're really the guidelines. Also, 100%, everybody understands, I will say, because we've had this conversation often, is that we will never say this is a replacement for instruction. It really is meant to be a balance.
Don't we already have classroom sets in all the classrooms in middle school?
We have them in the homerooms. In middle school,
Yeah.
for 6th and 7th grade, they're in the homeroom.
And in 8th grade, they're,
8th grade, they're not. So they're spread about on carts. They're in the STEM program, but they're also on carts. And in the beginning
so
of the
when they need
presentation.
them
No, go
for
ahead.
instructional periods for 15 minutes here and there,
It's not as easy though as, I get it, just from being a former teacher, you might find something really cool the night before and say that would be really cool for me to add to my lesson tomorrow. But guess what, I didn't sign up to have the part available for my class tomorrow. So I get from a teacher perspective to know that all your students are going to have a device with them that they can log onto. If you find something, really cool that morning or the day before, that you don't have to fight for the laptop part, or sometimes you sign up to have the lab or the laptop part and there's a snow day and then the schedule gets flipped around and then you can't do that lesson or you can't add, I get the appeal to have that device always available if you need it for your classroom.
Thank you, and that's a
But
great
they're
way
stored
to.
in the classroom, so each of the classrooms already has
No.
one, it's just a matter of the kids having to take them out every single time.
No, they're not.
So-
They were saying they're not available in the family and consumer sciences,
They're not
foreign language.
They're in the core classrooms. They're in the homes for the core, and really what we've come across since we started this are the encore teachers, and they're saying, well, we need devices too. And then when Diane costed all that, she cost it out. It costs more then to go add more parts and more parts than to make it available for students who will take it to every class. So now every instructor has the opportunity, if there are instructional apps that they are research-based, they're evidence-based, we know, we even have our own data say these work. They'll be able